Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to the circuit to Catalunya in Barcelona, Spain for this week 2 of the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 series. Adam Bath here in the commentary box bringing you all the action tonight. We've got 23 laps of action here around the famous Grand Prix circuit. And I'm delighted to say in the commentary box alongside me will be Sam Fitzpatrick once the V8 Supercar broadcast has concluded. We've got Sam Kumo on the cameras as well. And apologies for missing the start. YouTube was being a bit of a pain. And you join us on lap 3 of 23. With this man, Rico Alatalo leading the way. In second place is Jose Langa. And then it's Christoph Hervegano in third position. Tim DeLeese in fourth and Alexi Aloma in fifth position. No major casualties away from the start. And as the leaders go through the final chicane to complete another lap, the Glacier Racing car has got away well so far. So thank you for joining us here on this Saturday night. Across the line does go Rico Alatalo. He's doing well so far. Looking here, the man sat in third position. Christoph Herbenio. 1:27.84 on that last lap. He was a couple of attempts shy of what Jose Langa was doing in second. So these are the best of the best. These are the guys in the top split that we're watching here tonight. A lot of high rating on, lots of high I rating on display here. 6.6, for example, for Rico Alatalo. I think that is trumped by Tim DeLisle in fourth, who's got 6.8, and we're looking here at Sergio Macias here, 6.7k I rating. Finnish driver, number 3, has lost one place so far in the early going. Got a subscriber already, and we missed the start of the broadcast as well. Oh dear, we've got a crash here. This is Jorge Barrio, and that is Suelo Almeida, with a lot of damage to the front of his car. I would be very surprised if the Brazilian is able to continue with that. He might be able to keep the car going, but he'll almost certainly have a meatball, and when he gets back to the pits, he'll probably be told, pack it up, we're going. This is a replay of what happened, and that's not his fault really, is it? The car in front of him spun, and there was no way he was going to be able to avoid that. It's interesting to see that we do have 3-dimensional crowds now in the iRacing build. That's the first time I've seen that, from at least the camera angle I could see anyway. People actually move. We don't have to keep looking for Tony Gardner and Dale Earnhardt Jr. anymore. Looking here at the battle for 13th place, this is Petri Kotavara and this is Thomas Knoll going into the first corner. Austrian duking it out here for the first corner, but alas, to no avail. Fantastic opening few laps by Petri Kotavara. 6 positions gained from his starting place. Those of you that are new, it pretty much is the same format as for most iRacing official series these days. Load into the session, get a wee bit of practice, and you've got just a lap or two to get a qualifying lap in, and you're thrown straight into the race. It's a far cry from the days of old where you had to load into a separate qualifying session and do your qualifying in there, and then that would put you on the grid for all the other race sessions you did. Feels like a lifetime ago. Feels like a lifetime ago that we couldn't do endurance races either, because you couldn't do team racing. How much of a revolution that has been in the world of sim racing. And iRacing today at the Frankfurt Motor Show, being represented by Porsche Motorsports. Porsche continuing to throw their fortune at sim racing, at iRacing, and it is really taking off. We're right on board with Thomas Knoll. Couldn't get by Kotavara on the previous lap. We'll see if he can do so this time. We're riding on board with him as he comes over the timing line. See how effective the slipstream is here as we go into the right-hander. Hard on the brakes into turn 1. Just close in a little bit, but alas, no way through there. Daniel Bieder in 10th position, I think we're looking at now. Fernando Guerrero sat in P9 as well. 4 places gained for the number 8 car. And here he is. He's got two cars behind him. They are Daniel Bieder and Edward Zamborski. Zamborski, another driver that has had a pretty good race so far. 5 places gained for him. And there he is. Tight hairpin. Now into the tight chicane to complete the lap. Complete lap 6 of 23. So already a quarter of a way through the race as we now cut to the battle between this guy. This is Alexi Aloma. In front of him, he is behind him. He has got Matti Sapila. Around the long right-hander we go. That Renault, aptly named after the cars that we see racing in this series today. And then just a little bit behind him, he's got Sergio Macias in 7th position. So that's the state of play regarding those guys. Up to the chicane. Car 6 in P6. Make sure to avoid that really big sausage curve on the exit, because if he does hit that, especially in these single-seaters, they don't tend to go too well. You can see just by the aerodynamics on these cars that the front wing is pretty low down to the ground, so a run over that at high speed, well, you saw what happened in the Formula 3 race in real life at Monza. Car catapulted into the air. But here is Sergio, the man from Iberia. And how good it is to see a track from Iberia in iRacing, especially with the high level of Iberian drivers in the series. See how well they've done over the years. The likes of many of the Lopez's have done well. See quite a lot of them at the Sim Racing Expo every year, the Iberian racing team. I think they're still going. A few good liveries as well. You can definitely tell that is Sergio by the markings down the side of the car. Shades of the old the West McLaren Mercedes liveries from the mid-noughties. Kimi Raikkonen and Pablo Montoya when cigarette advertising was on the way out. McLaren did so well that year. Don't know how they didn't win the title. Reliability was not Kimi Raikkonen's friend there, as Sergio Macias locks up left front going into the hairpin. Didn't really hinder his lap time too much. Did a 1:28.071 on the previous tour. Cut back to the man in 2nd place. Jose Langer. 1.9 seconds away from Rico Alatalo. On the right hander, you could just see in the background of the shot there, that is where the Rallycross circuit is. Multi-functioning circuit here, you can see that especially through this final complex of corners. This is the layout that the Formula 1 cars use. MotoGP used it briefly. I believe they're back to the final 2 corners flat out, like F1 used to do up until 2007. And here is Christophe Herbigno, sat in 3rd place, 2.9 seconds away from the leader, but he is really starting to mount a charge towards Jose Langer. Last time around in a 27.7, which was a couple of thousandths away from his best lap of the race so far, which was set on lap 6. Here we are on lap 9. Car 11 is eyeing up car number 5 as we go through the right-hander here. You can see his picture as well. The Belgian doing pretty well here, on for a podium finish in this, the strength of field race. When we get to the line, we'll be to start lap 10 of 23. Here is Tim Delisle, just to show the representation of worldwide representation in this Formula Renault 3.5 series. Tim Delisle heralding from Australia, New Zealand. We were looking at Christophe Herbigno a moment ago from Belgium. We saw a crash involving one of the cars from Brazil. iRacing really is a worldwide series of competition, and here we are in the Formula Renault 3.5 at Barcelona. And we've got plenty of that in this, the top split of competition. Into the complex again. Looking here at Fernando Guerrero. Now, those of you that may have watched our iRacing Road Pro Series coverage from a couple of years ago will have recognised this man. Did pretty well. I think he did qualify for a road for a World Championship licence. Might need to fact check me on that one. But here he is, sat in 9th, ahead of Daniel Bieder, another familiar name to the channel. Going into the hairpin here, he has got a relatively comfortable cushion for now, 0.8 of a second over car 16. Running a bit over the curb and almost onto the grass there, going into the chicane. Now up to the top of the hill. This is where Heikki Kovalainen had his big crash in 2008. When tobogganed under the barriers there. Was okay, was back for the next race meeting at Turkey a couple of weeks later. Welcome to anybody that's watching on the YouTube chat. Be sure to give us a like and a subscribe. 17 viewers. So we have, and make sure to tick the bell icon as well. Oh, right on cue. Thank you very much for another subscription. Didn't expect the call to action to work that effectively, I must admit. Daniel Bieder then, over the line, does a 28.31, personal best for him. 28.61 for Fernando Guerrero, so 3/10 of a second loss there on the previous tour. Lap 11 of 23, so we are pretty much at half race distance here. Through the long right-hander of turn 3. Looks like these cars can take it pretty well. I was doing a week 13 race at the track in the brand new TCR car, and once you got the tyres up to temperature, you could take it pretty well. Sam Kumo, the man on the cameras, he was with me at the Sim Racing Expo where we got to try another subscription as well. Thank you very much. We got to test out the brand new TCR car at the brand new Barcelona track. This is the newest piece of content on the game. Formula Renault 3.5, quite old, quite worn in now. Been on the service for quite a while. And downshifting. I must admit, Daniel Bieder with the coloured wheels, I do like that. That gets points from me. And he might be up for some more points here because Fernando Guerrero is starting to feel a little bit of pressure. You can see the Montserrat Mountains in the background. Beautiful part of Spain it is, I must admit. I've been through that. I haven't been to the Barcelona circuit, but drove past it on my way into that mountain region, and it is really is a stunning part of the world. 28.299 by Fernando Guerrero. New personal best for him just when he needed it. You can see the gap as well. It was about 0.3 of a second when we last checked, when he came across the line a lap or so ago. It's now up to 0.7. And you can see from the graphic at the bottom of your screen just how the gap has got as yo-yos back and forth over the last few laps. Quality driving going on here by these guys. Yeah, we did start on lap 3, missed the start. A couple of issues with YouTube not being our friend here for the official series. Lap 12 of 23, so we are now into the second half of the race. Race order is as follows. It is Rico Alatalo that leads. There he is. Incidentally, the only driver in the series to have a B licence. So I will need to check what MPR this is, but for him this will be a decent bit of safety rating if he carries on at this rate. Looking at it right now, he's on 3.49, so if he gets a little bit more, gets up to 4, he'll advance straight to the A class, and he doesn't even have to wait for the iRacing season to finish. He leads the way. Second is this man, Jose Langer. He's just about keeping Christophe Herbigno at bay in the Devotion sim racing car. Just 0.4 of a second between them. It is officially the closest battle on track. Then it's Tim Delisle in 4th. Then it's Alexia Loma in 5th. Then it's Sergio Macias in 6th. Then it's Villa Parla in 7th. Matti De Playa in 8th. And then Fernando Guerrero in 9th and Daniel Bieder in 10th. Two drivers we've got plenty of over the last few laps. But here is the Devotion sim racing car. And he's pretty devoted to trying to get by Jose Langer here. With the chicane, making sure to avoid the massive sausage curve on the exit. Plenty of them around here This track used for testing in the F1 during the winter. Mostly down to its good conditions. Of course, one year it had to be postponed due to a whole load of snow. I don't know if that's coming out on iRacing. I'll have to wait and see on that. I'm sure the rallycross drivers might vouch for that. Here is the man with the number 1 on his car, Tim Delisle. With it being an official series, that is because he does have the highest iRacing in the field, so kudos to him. But top iRating doesn't mean top step on the podium, it appears. He does a 28.042 on that previous lap. Just nearly a tenth of a second slower than Christophe Herbigno in front of him. 2.3 seconds away from a spot on the podium for the man from the Australasian region. 8 tenths of a second ahead of Alexi Aloma as well. Of course, this is week 2 of the iRacing Formula Renault 3.5 series. Started off the season last week at Monza, Barcelona this week, Silverstone next week. One of the new pieces of relatively new pieces of content too was met with great joy by the people in Europe when that landed in the previous build of iRacing, in the Season 3 build. After that we head to one of the oldest pieces of content really on this service, Sebring International Raceway. Suzuka at the beginning of October, Phillip Island in Australia. That will be music to Tim Delisle's ears, I think. As Alexi Aloma goes into the right-hander. One of the most famous names on iRacing. I remember watching him in the in some of the older iRacing series back in the day. When I first got onto the service in 2013. And the 5-4 second place is really on now. Jose Langer and Christophe Herbigno just 2 tenths of a second between second and third place. There it is. For my Iberia, trying his best to keep the Belgian at bay. You see the picture of him there. 4 tenths of a second. Last time around, there was only a tenth of a second in it between Christophe and Jose. And it is the Belgian that is starting to apply the pressure. Lap 15 of 23 then. Nearly at 2/3 distance. A little bit wide there, but he manages to rescue it. Just intrigued to see whether this is the dirty air that's maybe coming into effect here. These cars don't have loads of bits dangling off like you see in the Formula 1 these days, but you would expect it to maybe have just a little bit of an issue. Remember when this series used to be really popular, back when it was known as the World Series by Renault? You could have you could run a low downforce setup at some of the races and could really have an impact and really make a name for yourself in this series. And a lot of the drivers in Formula 1 today have raced in it. Daniel Ricciardo took part in the series. The late Jules Bianchi. Robert Freins, racing in Formula E, took part in it. I think he beat Jules Bianchi to the title one year. In controversial circumstances too. A lot of the Red Bull drivers raced. I think Antonio Felix da Costa did too. That was probably down to their contract with Renault or something. And just when we switch to the battle for second place, Jose Langer realises, oh, I've got to get a wriggle on here, and extends the gap up to 8 tenths of a second. And I'm looking forward to the 5th of November. Remember the 5th of November, because that's when this series heads to Donington Park. Do like it when we get series like this going to local tracks like that. Along with that, also we've got Interlagos, Indianapolis and Road America just to finish off the schedule for you. Of course, this series runs all the way through till the can't be right until the end of November. Yeah, our racing seasons are shorter than I thought. Lap 16 then of 23, just over 2/3 distance then. And since we last checked in on our race leader, Rico Alatalo has extended his lead to 3.3 seconds. 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 3.3 se doing a fantastic job so far. You can see they're edging away 10th by 10th. Championship standings going into this race. I was just going to quickly find them because we haven't really talked on them so far. Helps if I look at actually the top division rather than mine. Jose Langa leading the way in the points. Sergio Macias in second. Then it's Luke Barton, the first of the drivers that isn't here in this strength of field race. Matty Saplayo in fourth, and then it's Via Pala, Muric. Then it's Christophe Urbigno in seventh, and then this guy Fernando Guerrero. Just trying to see whereabouts he is. He isn't in the top 25, but a strong result here could help him somewhat. Just 0.4 of a second ahead of Daniel Bieder, who will be almost starting to get a little bit sick of following the Iberian around. And Edward Zamborski isn't too far away from making an attack either. He is our second biggest mover in the field. Our biggest is Petteri Kotavara, who sits in 13th place. He's gained 6 positions so far, started in P19, so pretty much started stone dead last and has been going his way through the field from there. There he is, the Finnish driver, compatriot of our very own Sam Kumo. 4 cars out of the race. You can see them at the bottom of the timing tower. Jorge Barrio, heavy damage to the front of his car. Suelia Almeida, both of them involved in the same wreck. Rob Bohr also out, and Erka Lindström, the first of the cars to fall by the wayside. Here is Thomas Knoll, sat in 14th place, the Austrian in car number 19. Blue and yellow, a relatively good livery on that, I must say. The cars don't look too dissimilar from the Super League Formula days. I don't know if you remember that series. I must admit, I am reeling off a whole load of long dead series on this broadcast today. If you didn't watch it, Super League Formula, it ran for about 3 seasons, made up of football clubs. The teams were football clubs, and then I think in its final season it was football nationalities. V12 engines as well, so just when series like F1 were downsizing their engines, that series rocked up with the biggest engine of the lot. And yeah, raced in some pretty interesting place. Had an interesting race format as well. Did that. Had football clubs like Liverpool and Olympiacos. I think Bayern Munich might have had a team in there too. If you remember that, get on the YouTube chat. I'd like to hear from you. We've just got a couple of laps to go here. Barcelona running on board Daniel Bieder. He's not reminiscing about anything. Seating capacity of this circuit, according to Steve King 2160 on the YouTube channel, 140,000. And it looks like it's packed to the rafters here on iRacing. There was doubt on whether this series would be on the Formula 1 calendar after a couple of years, because after this season anyway, due to Fernando Alonso stepping by the wayside, Carlos Sainz, hopefully he'll get the same appeal that Fernando did. They really started flocking to this circuit once Fernando Alonso took off in Formula 1 in about 2003, 2004. Carlos Sainz with McLaren has had a pretty good season. Daniel Bieder trying to get by Fernando Guerrero in the final 4 lap. When we get to the line, we'll be starting lap 20. There'll be 4 laps to go then, including the one that they will be on. Up to the hairpin. This corner was modified in 2004. You can see the really long one. The bikes used to use that. Now they just use the normal left-hander. There's a big crash there in the Catalunya MotoGP race this year. Back with second place then. Last time around, 28.0 for Jose Langa. It was a 27.9. We're talking hundredths in it between second and third. Can Christophe Urbigno get by in the closing stages? I think apart from the crash, I don't think we've seen a single overtake in this broadcast. Love to get one in the closing stages. There we go. 2 overtakes in the last 25 minutes. I think I heard that correctly from our man on the camera, Sam Kumo. There we go. I can actually see them on the event viewer. There we go. Now, Barcelona is in F1, for example, a pretty tough circuit to get an overtake done on. But no, I'm sure when the TCR series comes here, we're not going to have any issues with that. Speaking of which, the BSR TCR, that heads to Silverstone tomorrow. I think I'm in that, so I get on the practice on that a little bit later. Alexei Aloma, here he is, 5th place. And all of a sudden, with a couple of laps to go, he does a fastest sector of the first of the race so far, 24.45. I don't think it's going to set the world alight this lap as a whole, but we'll wait and see. And just in the foreground of the shot, you can see how close it is as well in the fight for second. New personal best by Tim Delisle. He does a 27.684. Alexei Aloma, I think he might have picked up an off-track somewhere because he has not picked up a lap at all. And here we are then. 3 laps to go, including the one that we're on. And Jose Langa is starting to feel the pressure from Christophe Urbagnot. Tim Delisle in 4th and then Alexei Aloma in 5th. This left-hander downhill, bit of camber to it as well, so you can't really go into it. And here is Christophe Urbagnot. Overlay saying it was Alexei Aloma for a second. Bit of right-hander. And on towards the hairpin at the end of the straight. Can see that this is where Jose Langa seems to pull out the gap a little bit. And then it's through the final sector where Jose really seems to close the gap back. Into the complex once again. Looks like a car that really doesn't like to take those curbs, it looks like. I can imagine if anybody runs over them, they will be picking up a bit of damage to that front wing. Penultimate lap then. 0.8 of a second between Jose Langa and Christophe Urbagnot. 27.9 for Jose Langa, 28.2 for the Belgian in 3rd place. Once again, when it looks like we focus on 2nd place, the gap does go up again. Daniel Bieder went off the track on the last lap, and it looks like his challenge to try and get by Fernando Guerrero may be at an end in the fight for 9th. Edward Zamborski is still 0.8 of a second behind him, so that might still come to something. Here is Sergio Macias in 6th place, another man from Iberia. He's got Viel Napala behind him. And just 1.5 seconds behind him, he's got Matti Siepler. On the back straight, running on board with the Iberian, car number 2, second highest I rating in the field, 6.77k I rating. Look at the left front suspension, now the right front suspension. Throw it at the right-hander into the complex. And when he gets to the line, he'll be starting his final lap of the race. Credit to Rico Alatalo. I don't think I've seen him lap outside the 127s all race. Fastest lap of the race is held by he, 127.4. Well, last time around he did a 27.8. Final lap of the race then. Is this going to be the opportunity for Christophe Urbagnot to take 2nd place away from Jose Langa? So long as he doesn't go off, he is still going to be getting his hands on a little bit of the bubbly. Daniel Bieder puts in a new personal best of the race as well on the final lap, 128.2. You can see that on the timing tower. If the lap time's in green, it means a new personal best. If it's in purple, it's fastest lap of the race so far. He saw the left front wheel getting off the ground there as he turned in. Into the left-hander. Now up towards the top of the hill. And onto the back straight we go. Chicane on the left-hand side. That is where the F1 cars used to go until 1995. Hard on the brakes. I don't think he's going to do a dive bomb from there. The car does get a little bit away from underneath him going on to the brakes, and that's almost certainly going to cost him his chance of getting 2nd place. Christophe Urbagnot. And meanwhile, into the final chicane. Rico Alatalo, he started on the pole and has not looked back from there. And in week 2 with the iRacing Formula 3.5 series, Rico Alatalo is going to take the checker flag and win here at Circuit de Catalunya. Second place for Jose Langa. He was under pressure from Christophe Urbigno the entire race, but he gets his hands on the silver medal, and Christophe Urbigno will have to settle for 3rd place. 4th for Tim Delisle. Oh dear, a bit of stopping after the line. Alexi Aloma takes 5th. Pretty close between Sergio Macias and Viola Parla at the end. Daniel Bieder and Edward Zamborski also very close. They've just come over the line now. 8/10 of a second between those two. And the late stragglers now to come over the line. Here is Jean Kajanen. 3 places gained for him. And he's going to come through the final corner now to car 10 and take P15. And he stops pretty much after that. 3 places gained, no, not too shabby. So then let's run you through the finishing order from the Strength of Field race, week 2 of the iRacing Formula 3.5 Champion. Victory for Finland, Rico Alatalo. 2nd for Jose Langa. Christophe Urbigno in 3rd. Tim Delisle from Australia, New Zealand in 4th. Alexi Aloma makes it 2 Finns in the top 5. Sergio Macias, the 2nd highest Iberian in 6th. Then it's Viola Parla in 7th. Matti Siepler in 8th. Fernando Guerrero finishing in 9th, keeping Daniel Bieder at bay. Edward Zamborski from New York in 11th. Lubomir Muric in 12th. Then Petteri Kotavara in P13. Thomas Knoll from Austria in 14th. Jone Kajanen in 15th, and then the cars that didn't finish the race. Both Jorge Barrio and Sueli Almeida both crashed into each other at the chicane midway around the lap. Rob Bohr finishing in 18th, 20 laps down, and we have someone just beneath him. Yes, we did. Erka Lindström finishing in 19th place. He was out right from the get-go, and that is the story of round 2 of the iRacing Formula 3.5 series. Right then. We'll have to bring in Sam Kumo here. Sam, I might just bring you in for a quick word on the evening's action. Didn't see too much in the way of overtaking around here, but took it to Catalunya, showing the strength of field in this iRacing series, and also a good result for our race winner today, Rico Alatalo.
Unfortunately, at the point where we joined us, there was not that much action going on, but here I think we can see the screen the first few laps. I think basically the first 2 minutes, that's where the action was really, but I think that's just more due to how the track is. It's known for being one of those where it's very difficult to make the passes, and I think we just saw that here. It's completely opposite from last week. I think at Monza, just saw this action on the, it was Knoll and who else was that who got involved in this crash? Yeah.
That was probably Lindström, wasn't it? He finished stone dead last, so it probably was him too. So that was where, where
you're right.
Crash happened, and it might not look like much, but I reckon that's probably a meatball flag for him. And when he gets back to the pits, he'll probably be pack up the car we're going. But you can see already there, Rico Alatalo escaping into a lead. A bit of side-by-side action in the background there too. So once Alatalo got that lead, he never looked back. Here's Sergio Macias getting passed by one of the cars going into the long right-hander. This is all the action that we unfortunately missed at the beginning because of YouTube being a bit of a pain. You're seeing it now. Thanks for sticking with us to see it. Mind if you have enjoyed any of that today, to give us a like and a subscribe. Devin Booth. Sorry for you being antisocial. It looks like he was hiding away from the family there, watching us on the broadcast. Hope it was worth your while anyway. And that was the end of the opening lap. Sergio Macias here in second. Fernando Guerrero battling away here. This was with this was the battle that we saw pretty much for the entire of the race. This is Daniel Bieder that he's battling away with. And at this moment in time, Bieder looks like he's trying to get by, going into the left-hander. Bida trying to go around the outside, but Guerrero throws it straight back up the inside. He's got his teammate to hand here as well at this moment in time. And is this the moment where Fernando Guerrero keeps Daniel Bida at bay for the rest of the race? It looks like it, you know. Who would have thought that for 22 more laps he would keep him at bay? But from this moment onwards, the gaps do start to widen. See Guerrero's teammate running a bit wide in the background there too. Looks like he picked up a slowdown penalty for that. I don't know how much of the track you've driven, Sam, but is it a circuit where you really can get penalised for slowdowns by just running a bit wide?
My overall feel is that most of the new tracks, they have very harsh penalties, and basically the shortcutting sectors are very strict compared to some of the older tracks that we've seen. So obviously, if it's also first 2 laps, then yeah, I mean the penalties are going to be harsh.
Oh yeah, we both drove the track at the Sim Racing Expo in the TCR. And here we are on to lap 3. This is pretty much where we join the action. Carlatalo in command already at this point. And the top 2, and the top 3 I should say, remained unchanged for the rest of the race. Well then, before we go, can remind you that we have got plenty more action to come on Apex Racing TV this weekend. If you're about on Sunday, make sure to check out the... do we have it? Oh, we do have some IndyCar Road that's about to get underway. That'll be at 11 o'clock tonight on the channel. Marco Barbanera and Austin Knight around for that. Sunday, we've got some GT action with the Aussies. Scott, John and Dan in the booth for that. And of course, on Monday, we've got the World GT Championship returning for the second week of action for that. So plenty to watch out for. That, of course, will be on the iRacing Esports Network. But yeah, still a bit of action to come on the channel tonight, so make sure you stick around for that. Make sure to turn on the bell icon as well, so you don't miss us going live. And yeah, Sunday morning, some GT action too. So plenty to keep an eye on over the weekend. But that is about it from us here on Apex Racing TV at Circuit de Catalunya. Make sure to join us the same time next week when the iRacing Formula 3.5 circuit as Circus heads to its next destination, which will be Silverstone. So for me and from Sam on the cameras, thanks very much, Sam, by the way, for doing the cameras today. From all of us here, bye for now.
Okay. That was a lot to deal with. But I mean, yeah. Yeah, you know, there's not a lot of action going on when you're talking about like old racing series instead of what's going on the screen.